Hello, welcome to Love, Drama, and Deceit. This is Kat. I want to do a recap of The Bold and the Beautiful for Wednesday and Thursday. I'm going to start off by talking about Katie and Bill. As you know, that Bill booked Katie a fashion house for their anniversary. They was at Giordino's, El Giordino's on Wednesday. And her and Bill was having lunch, and then they started talking about Brooke and the situation between her and Katie, and then they saw Deke, and so she was telling Bill that she needed some designers, and so she told Bill to go and let Deke sit down, and he went over there to the bar and talked to Deacon while her and Deke had a meeting, which is Deacon's son. So she offered him a job to design for her at her new design house, which I kind of knew that was going to happen in the first place. But it was evident that it wasn't going to happen. So I don't know who else she's going to get. I was hoping that she'd get Hope, but I don't know. As things stand right now, I don't really see that, but I still see it maybe in the future. Hopefully, that they'll leave Ridge and Brooke because let them do them since they think they know so much. Okay, but then you got then Bill and Deacon was talking, and he's told Bill that I said we done got off the Brooks train, and Bill just kind of looked at him, But I'm glad they both left that alone. So, cause I don't know, I think she loved the attention from the both of them, but me personally, I think she would have been with Bill if it wasn't for Katie. But it is she where she needs to be at, where she should be. So she talks to Dick about, and so he just said yes, whenever she was ready, he's ready. Um, you got Daphne and Steffi. They're talking about Daphne's leaving to go back to Paris. I'm assuming that she's leaving because Carter haven't made any advances as far as making any commitment with her. And she's making him work for it because of the way he treated her when he was with Hope. But she should have understood that he was with Hope. But I knew that wasn't going to work out. But you know how that roll. You know how that goes. They're not going to let them two get together. That's just my personal opinion. Um. So she tried to talk to Daphne about how she about Carter, and so Steffi goes into Ridge's office. She tells Ridge and Carter about Daphne leaving, but before she came in, Ridge and Carter was already talking about Daphne, and Ridge was telling him that that was somebody he needed to be with. He think that them two that they belong together. He thinks that him and Daphne belong together. In other words, Ridge think that Daphne told Carter that he thinks that him and Daphne belongs together. So, he just was telling Ridge the same thing about, she's making him work for it. So Steffi was telling him that um about Daphne leaving, and once she got through telling him that Daphne was leaving, so he goes and find Daphne. And Daphne was talking to Hope about the same thing, and Daphne asked her. I mean, Hope asked Daphne what it about. She was concerned about Carter. She thought that they were going to work out as a couple. So So Hope goes to find Carter. I'm assuming she went into Ridge's office, and him and Steffi was there, and they was talking about Daphne, and she said, "Well, Steffi told her she already knew." So then they showed Carter he was with Daphne, and he was talking to her, and he was trying to find out what the problem was, and let her know that that how he felt about it, and he thought she felt the same way. So today they kind of talked a little bit about how they felt about each other, and she was telling him that she was saying that she could do her job from Paris. Well, actually she was telling us to Hope that she could still do her perfume line from Paris. She was I just think that she's waiting on Carter to make a move to make a commitment, and he hasn't. So they was talking, but they hadn't come to no kind of resolution as of today. So then you got Lee and Sheila. at El Giardino, she called Lee just to talk about Deacon because who else does she have? She don't have anybody else to talk to. Have any friends. So she told Lee how she thought that her and Deacon was all right, but she's not really sure. And then she said that Taylor was helping them to fix their relationship, and she thought everything was good, but she's really not sure. So Lee kind of just listened, you know, and then Deacon was at the office with Taylor, having a therapy meeting, and then they kind of got a little close, a little intimate, like not no kissing or anything like that. They were just kind of touching, and letting the vibe go, and he was just talking, and they were in the feelings. You could feel the chemistry between the both of them. So hopefully they'll get together. But my thing is, Steffi was outside listening, happened to walk up as they was talking, and after Deacon leaves, you know, she goes in and she said, you know that you cannot. Deacon is married to Sheila, and if you open up that can of worms, Sheila is going to targeted you, and plus Deacon is married. And but with Taylor, she finally got Taylor to realize that this is wrong. But we all know that she's not. This it's not going to stop because Deacon's not going to leave it alone, and she's not going to stop either because there's something there. And I think that they'll end up getting together. But this right here is going to open up the door for Sheila to go on the warpath again. I hope not, but it's gonna happen because I feel like him and Tyler is gonna still be sneaking around and trying to see each other, and then Sheila's gonna walk in that office again and she's gonna catch him. She's gonna stand in that door and listen like Steffi did. I don't know why. You're in a therapist office. Why is the door open? Should not be open. Nobody should be able to hear what's going on inside that room, but you and that person that you're talking to. So it ended by Taylor telling Steffi that she agreed that it could not work with her and Deacon. And then Deacon was also talking to his son, and he was happy when he told her that Taylor it was the other woman that he was thinking about. Cause Deep walked up on him thinking, Deep thought, and so he did say it was Taylor. And Deep he don't like Sheila anyway, so he was telling his dad that she would be a good woman for him, but again, like Steffi say, you open up a can of worms because that's just another way to get Sheila on the warpath once again.